week 11 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few quarterbacks I look to drop this week. The first guy, Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Trevor Lawrence, over the last few weeks, he's been a decent fantasy option for owners, but now we're going on bye week here in week 11. There's no reason to hold on to him. And in week 12, he's got a tough matchup versus the Baltimore Ravens as well. So the last couple weeks here for Lawrence, week 8 versus the Broncos, 133 pass yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 15 rush yards. Week 9 versus Vegas, 235 pass yards, a touchdown, 53 rushing yards, and a fumble loss. In week 10 in Kansas City, 259 pass yards and 2 touchdowns with 26 rush yards. So right now, he's owned in 70% of fantasy leagues here, Trevor Lawrence. But like I said, he's been up and down this season in his second season in the NFL. And this Jacksonville team going on bye, and a lot of teams, they need to fill out other needs with a lot of injuries as well this week, instead of holding on to Trevor Lawrence. So this week, with a lot of factors playing in for this week going into week 11 with injuries, like I said, in bye weeks, he's a quarterback I would drop this week. The next guy is Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints. At Taysom Hill, it's been an up and down type of playing time season here for him, where some games he gets a lot of carries and some games he'll throw the football, but that just hasn't been the case over the last few weeks here for Hill. Week 8 versus the Raiders, 2 pass yards, 10 rushing attempts, 61 yards a catch for 11 yards. And then week 9 versus Baltimore, the volume went down more, 13 pass yards, 1 rush attempt in that one. And then week 10 at the Pittsburgh Steelers in that ball game here, only 3 carries for 1 yard. So right now, week 11, a tough matchup versus the Los Angeles Rams that play pretty good defense in general here, even though I know over the last couple weeks it hasn't been all that great. But Taysom Hill, his volume's gone down the last few weeks. Jameis Winston, he's probably coming back to the lineup where he'll be obviously more of a traditional quarterback, where they're rarely going to run wildcat plays or whatever. And he just hasn't gotten the job done. I know it qualifies a tight end and quarterback this season, but right now, the last 3-4 weeks, Taysom Hill hasn't been a guy worthy of a fantasy roster. And right now, he's still owned in tons of leagues at 61%. And the third and final quarterback I look to drop this week here is Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams. So Stafford banged up with the concussion and missed week 10's ball game versus the Arizona Cardinals. And the last few games, even before that, he hasn't done much. Is Stafford. Week 8 versus San Francisco, 187 pass yards, a touchdown, a rushing touchdown. And then week 9 in Tampa Bay, 165 pass yards, a TD in that one. So right now, week 11, not a horrible matchup at the New Orleans Saints, but right now with Cooper Kupp out multiple weeks going for surgery on his ankle. And this Ram offensive line didn't stop anyone over there in Los Angeles. Getting to Matthew Stafford with his top receiver and O-line problems here, there's no way Matthew Stafford I could trust in fantasy leagues right now. And he's still owned in 57% of fantasy leagues. That's a few quarterbacks I look to drop here for week 11 of the fantasy football season.